to Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I'm here with my lovely wife, Dr. Alicia. How you doing today, man?
I'm trying to wake up. I just want to dedicate this podcast to all the mamas. They got to watch over their kids this summer.
All
Keep
the
up with them all.
mamas. Isn't that
Man,
what Outkast said?
yeah, I get it. It's like what I have crust in my eye. Thank you for taking that
Yeah,
out.
yeah. You have, it's almost like you have my eyelashes on your face or
Oh,
something.
gee.
I don't know how that happens.
I'm telling you. Anyway, you clear your throat, boys. I got to wake up.
I know, right? Yeah, yeah. So this is our sleep voice, and in case you're new, welcome to Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. This is where my therapist wife and I get together and we have fun, intelligent conversations about things that matter for our people, particularly areas of relationships. My wife is a licensed therapist and a full professor of social work, and you guys know my doctor's in finance, and so we found so many overlaps in the whole love and money category that it's really utterly fascinating. Just the psychology of it. By the way, shout out what city you're from. Let us know what city you guys are from. I see Terry Cobb. Terry Cobb comes in a lot. He's in Atlanta. He put his B1 in there. Dennis Spraggins and Deba Lowen and Joshua Floyd. How are you?
Where are they from?
Dr. Conrad Bingham. What are you a doctor of, Dr. Conrad Bingham? Joshua Floyd is a truck driver. That is a tough job. God bless the truck drivers.
Well, you know what? I hope that he can listen to us and it'll help him on his road. We
Oh,
we need truck drivers
heck yeah.
because, like, how do we get stuff?
Nothing gets anywhere without truck
That's
drivers.
right.
It's not like they use helicopters or anything. But
Anyway,
look at some of the cities here. I see Memphis for Zandra, Cincinnati for Artrell. Dennis says we are a power couple. Do you feel like a power couple?
not at the moment, but maybe we are.
Well, we're a sleepy couple. How
I
about
am
that?
very sleepy right
There
now.
we go. Let's see here. Deba from East Hartford, Connecticut. And I see Minnesota for Dennis Spraggins. Tamarack, Florida for Roy. Dallas, Texas for Debbie. Dr. Conrad Bingham is a dentist. Now,
All
dentists are
right.
important. I did a whole overhaul at the dentist office
I
last
know.
year.
I mean, people have such anxiety about going to the dentist. It's really interesting.
Yeah, it's because you're hearing all these drills, and it took me a long time to realize that just because you hear a drill doesn't mean that somebody's gonna be in pain. Though sometimes the drills don't even do anything; they just sound terrible.
Goodness. Yeah.
Well, shout out to Dr. Bingham, dentist, Black Dentists Matter. I see Anita English is from Manchester, New Jersey, and I see Omaha, Nebraska for Wanda, the home of Warren Buffett, the Oracle of Omaha.
He's from Omaha?
Yeah, yeah, he lives a very simple life.
Does he really?
Yeah, he eats McDonald's
Wait, why
cheeseburgers.
why would he live a simple life?
It doesn't make sense, right? Like literally, when you make, you're
Like,
making
why?
$100 million a day,
What's up with that?
you would think that somebody could like afford a nice car.
Splurged on a nice car. How about that?
Yeah, yeah. Well, speaking of that, I was really happy. We bought a car last year, and I was talking about cars the other day on my Instagram. My Instagram is the Real Boyce Watkins, and I was talking about how the price. People don't know the average. Do you know this? That the average new car note price has risen to over $700. How many of y'all knew that?
$700.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, $700. And so basically, I said, do you realize that if you took $712, the average new car note, and you invested that in an S&P 500 index fund over a 10-year period, guess how much money you'd have?
How much? Over a 10-year period?
Mhm.
Mm.
Approximately, this is approximate, $155,718
And you giving all that money to who? The bank?
to the car dealer.
To the car dealer?
Mhm. Yeah, so
And the bank who finances and gets interest off of you. Yeah, I mean, why a brand new car? Why are so many people buying brand new
I don't
cars?
know. When we bought our car, we didn't get a new car. Remember the difference? We went to
Well,
the
we
lot,
could have gotten a brand new car. I just thought it was stupid.
and it was so expensive.
Yeah.
I remember just we saw the Infinity that we really liked, and it was brand new. We needed a big one because we got all these damn kids,
All these people.
all
You
these other
gotta.
human beings that think that they should live in our house. and
Yeah.
and our other Infinity was not big enough, so to hold all the kids and grandma. So what we did was we got a bigger Infinity, and with the new car price, first we looked at the Lincolns because we started acting a little too black, and we saw those fancy Lincolns, and I said, man, I'm not spending all this money.
Oh, and we looked at the Cadillac. Remember the Cadillac
Oh,
Escalade?
I did not like it. I did not like it. You know what?
Nothing's more black than the Cadillac.
That is so true. That's why they got Serena Williams in their commercials.
That's right.
Yeah,
Shoot,
but
you smart.
yeah. So we looked at the Lincoln and the Cadillac, and it was just way too expensive. It wasn't like the money wasn't around. I mean, it's not a secret like that. I'm not that we're not poor, right? But I was like, I don't want to waste that much money. I want to invest that much money, and so we went to Infinity, and we found an Infinity, a new one that was more reasonably priced, but it was still overpriced. And then remember, I said, let's look at some of the 2018s. Let's go 3 years back and take a look at some of those. So that way we can get the new car smell and all that without the price. And then we both looked at the same car at the same time and fell in love.
Yeah, but that was when inventory was much higher. I think right now it's tough to find a car now, like a
Yeah,
used car.
it is.
That's my understanding.
Yeah, the whole industry's backed up.
Yeah, it is backed up.
Yeah. By the way, if you all could do us a favor, just a reminder, you're watching Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. And also, if you could you give us a yes in the chat if you can hear us okay? Let us know you can hear us okay. We actually do the podcast directly from our phone. If you're a person that ever wanted to do a podcast, just know that a lot of this stuff doesn't require fancy equipment or anything like that. I use an app called Anchor where I load up the audio, and Anchor actually puts the podcast on Spotify and Apple Music and all that stuff for you. Okay, thank you very much, Artel and Dr. Bingham and Adam Carter and Kendall Jones and Gregory Williamson. All right, so let's jump into our topic for today. All right, so we got this thing. Somebody sent us this thing. I wish I had. I think her name was Antoinette. Shout out to Antoinette for sending this over. I hope I didn't get her name wrong, but the sister sent this to me in my inbox, and it was about secret bank accounts. And that led us to our question for today: is a secret bank account okay to have in a relationship? And so what I'm going to do is share with you. This is exactly the post that they sent me. I have no idea who that lady is at the top. She's for some reason the post had this lady, and I don't know if that's her or not,
It
but
could be her.
it could be. It
Yeah.
could be. So let me tell you what was said here, and then we can kind of talk
You
about
can
it.
read that little print.
Yeah, I can.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
I got better eyes than you.
I can't read it, but you go ahead.
All right. It says, my husband works and I am a stay at home mom.
Mhm.
He is the most unselfish person I know. So I guess she's a stay at home mom, which means she does not make income outside the house. He is the most unselfish person I know. I handle all the finances, and he has never said or acted like it was his money. It's our money. Anyway, he is upset with me because he found out I had a bank account he knew nothing about. I've been making money online and keeping it from him. He says that his problem is not that I've been making money online, but that I kept it from him in the event of a divorce someday. He said that women keep a stash of hidden money in case the marriage fails. It's like a man keeping a side chick in case the marriage fails. And we both need to be all in or nothing.
Mhm.
My mom raised me to have a secret stash that my husband doesn't know about. Is this wrong? Is my husband right? Okay, so let's do a quick little poll here. Um, do you think that she's wrong, or do you think that she's okay? If you think she's okay, put okay. If you think that she's wrong, put wrong, or you can say super wrong, dead wrong, hella wrong, extra wrong, wrongity wrong. Or if you think she's okay, or if you think she's smart, just say that too. You can say, okay, I'm seeing wrong from Adam Carter. No, says Ashwin. Adam Carter says husband right. Scarcity mindset says Dr. Bingham. Okay, Jacquez
Yeah,
says
that's
wrong.
a good one.
Okay, Reginald says she is smart. Art Trail says wrong, wrong. As a mom not working. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of wrong. Okay, I see some okays. The okays are making a comeback here. Let's see here. Randolph says okay. All right. She's not wrong, but he found out, says Zandra. Oh, okay. So let me go to the beautiful black woman sitting next to me and ask her, who sees couples every single day. Um, what do you think? What would you say if a couple came in to your office with that? particular issue?
Well, first of all, I don't like to get into who's wrong and who's right.
Okay.
I don't like to judge because that takes judgment. So if she is a stay-at-home mom, maybe she feels vulnerable. What you gonna do if your husband runs off with the secretary while you at home raising the kids? It's like it leaves you in this vulnerable position, and so maybe she's coming from that perspective. And then for him, he's like, I trusted you. I'm bringing home all the bacon, giving all the bacon to you, trusting that you would handle everything in this house so that I can go out and make the money, and we're a team together. It doesn't feel like much of a team when you're sitting here just playing for yourself. And it sounds as if he probably didn't have an issue with her bringing home, with her having her own stash. It's just the idea that it's a stash that she was keeping from him. Like,
Mm,
it's a secret. I think the secret part is probably what bothers him. And for her, she's like, my mama taught me this. My mama taught me always have something secret because you never really know. And so
mhm,
it makes me wonder, what happened to that mother. Maybe that mother suffered something really awful in her history where she is just putting that on her kids, that it's gonna happen, it's inevitable, that this man, you can't trust no man, and they're gonna go out and do all these things, and so you've got to protect yourself. So I don't know, I try to help explain and learn about why people do the things that they do, why people hurt each other, and more so getting to the bottom of that so that they can know each other better. And then probably at the other side of this, everyone gets what they want.
mm,
He gets a wife he can trust. She gets a husband who, because she already said, my husband's very generous. My husband's very kind, very nice. So it doesn't seem like he's done anything to really make her feel as if he'd be malicious in some way. So yeah, it's just having a conversation and understanding, instead of like being upset and mad.
interesting, interesting. I would definitely agree with you in that it doesn't feel right, and it and I think that where maybe we're a little different is like I might think about things from what I consider to be a practical standpoint. I think about what her mother must have gone through, right? And
Awful.
you and I've been talking a lot about the research you've been doing on financial trauma. You're getting that trauma
Hmm.
certification, and trauma is real. It really impacts you, and it can shape how you see things. And so when people talk about a scarcity mindset, typically the scarcity mindset comes, I would imagine, from some sort of trauma, like where you've been in a situation where things were scarce.
You got
So
caught off guard too. It was
yeah,
a
you got
surprise.
caught slipping, and you become a hoarder. You start to hoard, like like the little poor kid who goes to the rich people's house and he's like putting food in his pocket.
In the drawer. Yeah, he's
Yeah, because
hiding
because
food.
yeah, because he's thinking that there won't be any food, and that typically comes from a real experience,
Hmm.
and I think that if you look at what's interesting is that things are different now than they were 50 years ago, 40 years ago.
As
40
they should be.
right, 40 years ago you had divorces where the husband would, I knew a lady like this who was suicidal because her husband, she had quit school, she quit college because her husband was going to be a dentist, and he
Wait, she's not
just
married to the guy in the chat.
she's not married to, no, she's not married to the brother in the chat,
Okay.
but she was going to be a dentist, and or he was going to be so Dr. Bingham, he's going to be a dentist just like you. And she just was so proud of being married to this dentist, and it allowed her to be a stay-at-home wife for over 20 some years. Well, just like almost like out of a textbook, he falls in love with his 23-year-old secretary
Secretary. Hmm.
and runs off with the secretary, and the wife is stuck trying to maintain a lifestyle for her kids that she cannot afford. Her kids were in private school and they live in a nice neighborhood. He left her with nothing, 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 nothing. And that, just
And they were married to each other?
yeah, when I heard that story, I
What was
said,
the
that
courts
sounds
doing back then?
that's the thing. I don't know. Maybe it was
Uh-huh.
taking too long, or maybe she couldn't, maybe he hid his assets, or I don't know. But
Okay.
but I don't think you can do that as easily now. Like, and
No.
that's the thing. And that affects both him and her.
Yeah.
If they get a divorce, he still has a right to have half of all that secret money. And if you go to court and lie about the secret money, oh, the judge will beat you, will whoop your ass.
They do. So it's funny because you think that money is secret. You have these secret accounts, and if the marriage gets dissolved, first of all, it's there's a way to find that secret, what so-called secret account, and you got to share that money. You
Mm-hmm.
got to share that money out. So you think you putting money aside? That's just my money. You
Hmm.
can't be putting no money aside. That's our money. Where you putting our money?
You know what? I think that if it's like you're hiding money, you can't hide it in a bank account. You got to hide it like a dope dealer. You got to have like a
under your
a
under
bunch
your
of
pillow.
cash under your pillow or buried in the backyard. You got to go Pablo Escobar with it. You can't just be like, "Oh, I've got an account over at Chase Bank," and they're never gonna
With your
find it.
social security number
Right?
attached.
Where my socials attached. Yeah. Oh,
Like, what's up
they'll
with
the
that?
forensic accountants will never find this.
Yeah.
It's all the way over at Chase Bank.
And I could tell like the husband may have been like kind of insulted. Like, dang, you didn't think highly of me that I wouldn't mess you over if something happens. It's really
Mm,
strange. I mean, it really speaks to the fact that before you get married to someone, you really need to get their financial history. You really need to have a conversation
mm,
about their relationship with money. It's
mm,
mostly psychological.
mm. That's so true. I think you can learn about a person's relationship with money by watching and not just talking. Because I believe that when you talk to people, they tell you who they want to believe that they are. But when you watch people's behavior, you get to see exactly who they actually are.
Yeah, but I mean, that's an implicit understanding. But I think that with marriage, everything needs to be explicit. We can't be making no assumptions here. It's kind of like, and you have to be open for that conversation. So if I were to come to you and say, "Hey, Boyce, I noticed that you handled money in this sort of way. Can you tell me how you came to that decision?" You have to be open to
Mm,
answer that question and not get offended and not be like, "I don't owe you no answer." No, yes, you do. Tell me what's going on with you in this money decision. And I'm asking these questions because I want to know if you're fit. I want to know what I'm getting into when who am I marrying.
mm,
And so it's being you have to have these conversations. And most people they get so anxious when they talk about money and finances, they just shy away from it and go scramble away and do whatever they want to do.
mm.
Hmm.
Everybody, you're watching Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. I'm here with my wife, Dr. Alicia Watkins, and my wife is a therapist, and she sees couples and things like that. And also, if you want some free resources on how to sort of heal your relationships or to improve your money mindset, we love talking about this sort of thing and sharing information. So feel free to go to boyceandalicia.com. We have a Black Love Challenge. We have all kinds of tests and workbooks and things like that you could take a look at to not just understand your mindset when it comes to money and life and relationships, but everything in between. And so let me dig into this. So I think that there has to be room for different perspectives. What I, ever since I was a kid, I was never really a big rule follower. You know that, right?
I
And
like that. I mean, 'cause that's what makes you such a great entrepreneur. I was reading that book called Originals,
uh-huh.
and you fit the perfect original person. The
Do I?
originals who come up with these great ideas, very super creative, brilliant almost. And so, yeah, I wonder what is it like for you boys growing up being so unique?
Well, no, I mean, I believe you. I believe you should make you make. I believe you should make your rules the way you make your food. When you
Hmm.
make the best meal, it's not like a happy meal. It's not a meal that's cooked by somebody else. I think it should be a meal that's cooked by you with your ingredients with the exact right balance that's really going to work for you, right? So I think that in a relationship, I would argue that communication does matter, but also you don't just communicate with me with your words, you communicate with me with your actions. I learn more about how you view money by watching you make financial decisions than I did from what you told me. You
Uh-huh.
you told me things, sure. You told me what you wanted the rules to be and what your preferences were. But I also just kind of knew. I was like, okay, my wife is frugal. When she makes, she doesn't buy anything for herself. She she thinks we're poor, no matter how much money we have. I literally, I could be. I mean, I know how to make money. I'm a big time investor, and I think in your mind you always think that we're poor.
I don't know if I think they were poor. Like, okay, so that's why we have to have these explicit conversations, because your interpretation of my behavior is different. Like, I grew up with everything just being enough. This is enough. We're content with what we have. So it was never like, go get money, gotta have money, money's so important, all of that. And I would have conversations with my dad about money, and he would say, like, it's just subtractions and additions. That's it. You just make money, you spend it, you have to, it's like an ebb and flow. So money was never anything really that was seen as a lack thereof when I was growing up, but it was never seen as money is so important that you attach your value and your worth to how much money you have. It was more so intellectual, because there were a lot of intellectuals in my family. And so we were more impressed with conversations, with what with how to engage with each other, than we were with spending a bunch of money, or just making sure we have a lot of money, or going out to eat all the time, living it up. Like, it was never like a live it up lifestyle. It was just more like, we're content with what we have. What else could you want? You're comfortable, you have a roof over your head, you have clothes on your back. Let that be enough. Let's now focus on other things. So it just wasn't such an emphasis. And then me and you start dating, and it's a whole different world.
Well,
Your world.
well, also, well, part of it, I mean, it was a different world also because there are opportunities financially and otherwise that appear, when you've been able to do something well, and
Yeah.
so I don't consider myself to be a person that attaches value to how much money I have or whatever. But I think as a man, I've always felt it is your responsibility as a man to make sure your family has what they need. If your kids are hungry and starving and your wife doesn't have what she wants, I do feel like that is something that as a man you want to do your best to address.
Okay.
Maybe there's only so much you can do, but if you're not trying, then that's a problem for me. And so I guess when it comes to money and everything else, I've always been open with sharing. I don't think that sharing's a bad thing. I would say that also I would imagine in basically in marriage, I'm guessing that it's a matter of like number one, I think you should invest in the marriage and do your best to not get divorced. But if you get divorced, uh, I personally wanted to be married to someone who wasn't going to try to take me to the cleaners financially. Like if that like that song. Remember that song "Hit 'Em Up" style? Ladies, if your man want to get buck wild, you know
Oh
what I'm talking
Lord.
about?
Yeah.
That song used to scare me.
Wow.
That song scared me. That's like basically that's almost like that's like a financial rape song.
Oh
Like if he
gee.
makes you upset, go take everything he's got, hurt
So
him as
take
much
his
as you
gold
can.
card and go charge that thing up.
Yeah, it's like I mean,
Wow.
literally, it's like let's go financially violate him
So the
because
fact that
he hurt my feelings.
yeah, so the fact that that scares you, has something like that happened to you
No,
in
well,
real life?
actually, it wasn't before that song came out, but I did. I mean, a long time ago, I did have a girlfriend who knew we were breaking up, and when I went to sleep, she took my credit card.
Ah,
She's,
see, that's why it
but
scares
you
you.
know what? No,
Because it
well, the
actually
thing was,
happened to
no,
you.
actually, remember the song scared me before the incident took place, and actually, the amount of money she took really wasn't like a crippling amount of money. It was like $250.
Yeah, but depending on where you are financially, like if were you a graduate student?
Yeah, but I had money.
Yeah, but as a graduate student, $250 is like, what is happening?
Well, for me, it wasn't because I had scholarships. Remember, I was a superstar student, so I had all these scholarships. So I had
But that's
money.
that's not the point. The point of the amount is not the point. The point of it is that you had that in your conscience, and you had that there, and then sure enough, here's somebody that just went and while you were sleeping,
Well, yeah, and yeah,
that's abusive,
well, remember too. I mean, I saw. How many of y'all have ever seen like a divorce that got really messy, and somebody got just taken to the cleaners financially? I don't
Ah,
think, and I don't think that and I hear men
so
talk
you
about that.
saw that?
Yeah, a lot of men see it.
Okay.
A lot of what women see is what this lady's mother saw, which is where the woman gets abandoned financially and the man goes off and lives his life, and the mother's living in a one bedroom apartment with three kids trying to find a way to make it by. But what the men have seen is their friends. get just slaughtered economically and and emotionally drained, maybe have their reputations ruined because maybe they did something inappropriate or whatever, and they've been shamed because of it. And it scares me. It makes men say oof. And I think these are real experiences. I don't think this is like
Yeah.
some distorted reality you've created because you're overly paranoid. It's like, no, I've really seen somebody get their ass whooped in court. And
So it's not as if these things have you've experienced these things yourself, but it's almost like a vicarious experience. You're living
yes,
vicariously through someone else, and then you're carrying that with you. Yeah,
yeah,
it's
you
like
watch the other slaves get beat on the plantation, and it makes you act different toward massa.
yeah, and so you're carrying this fear along with you into these relationships, and it's almost like so this person trusted this lady, and he shouldn't have trusted her, and
Well,
so therefore you walking around thinking in the lens of is this lady going to take advantage of me financially or if this isn't, and so that's the type of
well,
energy
it's
you
a
put.
healthy paranoia. I
Healthy
think I think
paranoia.
a healthy parent. Yeah, I think it's like,
Healthy
yeah,
paranoia.
just like when women go out on dates
Okay.
and they tell their friends where they are just in case the man turns out to be a rapist. It's not like
Mm-hmm.
they expect the man to be a rapist. They're just saying, I want to be ready just in case.
Yeah, but subconsciously you're pulling that around. Not to say that you shouldn't be cautious,
Hmm.
but to have that in your subconscious is really what's creating those scenarios for you.
Well,
So
I'll tell you, it wasn't subconscious. It was very conscious. It was like, yeah, don't marry the wrong woman, or she'll, or it'll end badly for you. I
yeah,
think,
but
I think, and
that's what
I think
feed.
a healthy person can think that way. I
Hmm.
don't think that makes you weird or paranoid when you're just
Well,
cautious to protect your resources.
what I'm saying is that that's what feeds your subconscious. Your conscious mind feeds your subconscious. That's why you should pay attention to who you're around and the type of environment you're around and all of that. So it feeds into that. And then pretty soon you start getting into this mindset where you start believing women are going to take advantage of you. And so you walk around with that in your head.
I don't
And
think, but remember, I don't think you have to conclude women are going to take advantage of you.
okay,
You have
well,
to
or just,
conclude, but what you
hmm
should conclude is that some women will take
hmm
advantage of you,
yeah.
and you have to discern. You have to take the time to discern what kind of woman you're dealing
Okay.
with, right?
Yeah. So I'm speaking, I agree with you on every level, but I'm trying to bring it up to a subconscious level, but maybe I'll bring it down. I'll bring not down, but I'll bring it to what you're talking about here. So yeah, I mean part of it is trusting yourself. You trust yourself to make good decisions. Yeah, I trust myself. I trust myself that I'm going to be in tune with the person that I'm pursuing, the person that I'm going to trust. I got to trust myself to make a good decision. And then I'm going to trust that because I made this good decision, this won't be the scenario for me. I'm going to be in a nice, loving relationship where we can trust each other.
Hmm.
Right? So the trust is very important. And part of it is just, also respecting each other. And, does this person respect my money? Does this person respect my time, my resources? All of that kind of builds and plays on each other, right?
Yeah, that is so true.
Yeah. And so if you're carrying around some of these issues that you've witnessed your friends taking advantage of, and you've seen all these other things, you should have a conversation with yourself about what you're automatically assuming. When you think about dating a woman, what comes to your mind? Are you thinking, okay, is she going to want me because of my money? Is she going to want me because of this? If so you have to pay attention to that.
Yeah, that's true. Well, by the way, everybody, you're watching Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. And if you could take 1 second, please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, share, subscribe. Our goal is to have intelligent conversations about things that matter to our people, particularly in the areas of relationships and money and mindset. Alicia is a licensed therapist and also a full professor of social work. I'm a professor of finance. And speaking of that, I want to remind everybody that tomorrow I start a new Black Wealth Bootcamp on how to generate income from selling stock options. This is something that a lot of people don't talk about, but it's great. It's how I generate income for my own family. And if it's something that you'd like to learn, it's a life skill that will benefit you in the tune of thousands of dollars over time. Feel free to go to boycewatkins.com. You have one more day to sign up. And after tomorrow, we're going to have to shut down the cart. But if you'd like to join us, feel free to go to boycewatkins.com. Okay, so let's jump back to the topic at hand here. So, my thought on on the secret bank account, obviously, it just doesn't make any sense. I would say a separate bank account makes sense. A secret bank account is kind of over the top. That kind of speaks of a weird type of deception. Also, based on the story that we read, where this mother's sitting at home and she has a secret online business and decides to not tell her husband about the money, whereas he's telling her about all of his money. He's bringing home all of his money. That's a problem. That's almost to me it almost feels like she's looking at herself almost like a child. Like I can go to work. Like how teenagers get their little job at McDonald's and they don't expect to share that money with anybody. They should do whatever they want. And then you have some families, where my mother used to tell me, no, you're making money, you should contribute to the bills. And it
Wait,
was
as a child, you were a
I
child?
was 15. I wasn't a child. I was a
Wait, so you were a
I was a
child and you
young
had to
man.
pay bills as a child?
Yeah, my mother would did that, and you know what? It helped me a lot. It really. Do you understand how much more prepared for adulthood I was at 18 than my friends? A lot of kids go to college. They don't know how to do nothing. They don't know. They ain't never paid a bill. They ain't never had a
But they're not
responsibility.
supposed to know. That's the time where you are development. I'm thinking as a developmentally.
Hmm.
That's the time where yes, it's almost like going to college way too early and then you miss out on your childhood. It's like go to college when it's college time. Be a child when it's time to be a child. And I know I heard that you took on parenting responsibilities early on too. And so it just, part of me just wonders about you're taking on the paying the bills and you're taking on these parenting responsibilities as a child, and it's like who parented you, and were you able to have the space where you can actually be a child yourself?
Yeah, well,
And so it just that
I
concerns
do
me.
agree that my parents believe deeply in accountability. And here's the deal: on one hand, it does take away, from your ability to just be an irresponsible kid. Like I have friends that would do things. My boys that I hung out with every weekend, they would get in trouble for something, and they wouldn't even get punished, or they get grounded for a day. My parents would ground me for 2 or 3 weeks, and
Well,
it
what
it
was did
sucked.
the punishment fit the crime? That sounds
Well,
draconian.
sometimes it did, sometimes it didn't. Sometimes they definitely went extra hard, and what the
How did you feel when they went extra hard?
I didn't like it, but let me just say this. Let me explain. Let me give their side of the story. My grandfather used to tell my mother, if you don't discipline your son, the police are gonna discipline your son, and he's gonna end up dead or in prison.
Okay, so
And
discipline is one thing, but like hard punishment for something is different,
yeah,
you
I mean,
know?
they're Southern black people, so there tends to be a different type of discipline that is accepted, but but um I have no sympathy for myself for what I went through because all those boys that weren't getting punished, they ended up on drugs. A lot of them ended up dead. Some of them ended up in prison. Some of them ended up out in the street.
Okay,
And
so
I didn't. Do you understand? I did not have a single friend. I mean, this is what my parents were up against.
uh-huh,
I did not have a single friend. I counted up every single male friend I hung out with,
uh-huh.
except for the white boy I became friends with when I was 13. Toby. Toby became successful.
Okay, so was
Every
Toby did Toby have to pay bills as a 15-year-old and baby and
no
take
to,
on parenting
no Toby had a different
responsibilities?
experience,
Okay.
but at the same time, all the black men. Toby wasn't black either. So he had white privilege. So the thing is that
I don't know.
so
Okay.
the point I'm making though
Mm-hmm.
is while I know sometimes parents can overcorrect, sometimes parents can go harder than they need to go, but I'm appreciative of that actually
Mm-hmm.
because you don't understand when I was 18 or 19, I was on top of things. I was taking advantage of opportunities and my friends weren't. And you look at our kids don't really know struggle at all.
No, they
They if
don't.
you put them in a hard situation, you put them in the hood with no money in their pocket, they wouldn't know what to do.
Maybe. Who
Right.
knows?
So
But they'll never figure that out.
right, and that's what
That's
we
not
do.
going to be in their
And
conscience.
that's what we do as middle class parents. So sometimes we don't put you and I had a very different upbringing from our kids. And I feel like that
Mm-hmm.
does drive a disparity in terms of like when I see you and I see how much determination it took for you to get your doctorate, I don't think you would have got that if you hadn't had certain experiences as a kid.
Okay.
You know?
Okay, so I mean, you went from harsh discipline, which some people would call that harsh, and then you went to no discipline at all. And I'm just wondering, is there a happy medium to that where you can
Hmm.
have you
Yeah.
can discipline your child, but then also let them be a child, let them
Yeah.
experience things.
Well, I played sports. I was on the track team. I did a lot of kid stuff. I would play basketball with my friends. I'd run around. You wasn't gonna stop me from being no kid. I had so much energy. My mother says I was a ball of energy.
Uh-huh, I believe her.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and that part was there, but I also tend to be an ambitious person. I believe in achievement, and I think that Black people, we lose tremendously because we just let our kids sit there as lumps on a log and not learn anything, never accomplish anything. And I do have a respect, like when I hear about some Asian family where they train their child to be an expert concerto at the age of 12,
Yeah,
or
but
their
sometimes
kid is going to Harvard at the age of
I get
15.
it.
I
Yeah.
don't think that necessarily
Mhm.
traumatizes the kid. Maybe the kid grows up and they're appreciative. Thank you, Dad, for giving me a head
Yeah.
start on life.
Well, it doesn't necessarily well, the traumatized part, it just depends on how um how they experience that. But it just makes me wonder, when you put all this pressure on children to perform, it's like performance based esteem. Like you
True.
have to, it's like if my child doesn't win first place, then then forget it.
Mm.
When just like when Tay Tay did her dance competition, I just wanted her to get up there and have a good time. I said, get up there and have fun. Do your thing. Just have fun. Just let go. Don't be nervous. Try not to be nervous. Just let go and dance your heart out. This is the last time you're going to be doing these dances. So dance your heart out. Like that was my thing. So why waste her time, practicing and doing all this if she feels like she's got to be first? And so I think when you just focus on having a good time, believe it or not, that's when you score the highest. When you're just out there enjoying yourself and having a good time and not even thinking about the outcome in that moment, you're just doing. You're just doing what you've been trained to do. To me, that's a great use of time. And she got to hang out with a lot of her friends on the dance team. And, that to me was a good use of my time. Although I'm
Mhm.
a tired mama. Boys, I'm a tired mama.
Mhm.
It's just, I think this is one of the first times I've just been home with two jobs, with three kids, and it's a lot juggling that.
Well, you don't, well, and I
Anyway.
think I think that speaking to the tired mama thing, you're a tired mama partly because you have things that you want to do. You have nothing, almost nothing that you have to do.
That's true.
You like really, you have
I'm
people,
putting this on myself.
right, you have people at your job that wonder why you get up and go to work every day. They're like, you're married to boys, why would you have to work? And I'm sitting there thinking, yeah, she doesn't have to work, but I respect what you want to do. I respect the work that you do. I think that it's so, and to me, that's the idea, right? Like, I agree with you.
So wait,
If
so
you're
wait.
like, wait, hold on, let me
Hmm.
explain.
Okay.
So if you're like those kids on those crazy dance competitions on TV where their mothers are going ballistic and wanting to give their child, like, cosmetic surgery at the age of 5 so they can win a dance competition or a beauty pageant, that's obviously over the top. But I think there's nothing wrong with having goals. There's nothing wrong with having a purpose. There's nothing wrong with having ambition. And there's nothing wrong with really being hungry. Like, really saying, I want to win first place. Oh, okay, sure. If I don't win first place, the world ain't coming to an end.
Right.
I'm just gonna have to I'm
Right.
gonna have to adjust. I'm not gonna jump off a building. But shit, I want that trophy up there. I think that's okay. Like,
Yeah.
I was always the kid who did want the trophy, and I don't
Hmm.
think, and it didn't traumatize me or anything. And it wasn't. Or maybe it was partially performance based esteem, because I know that at least for men, and I think women have their own version of this. For men, when you win, when you are a winner, the world does treat you different. You get opportunities, you get access, you get, like a man who walks in a room and he's a millionaire who's looking good and who's highly successful and powerful. He ain't gonna get treated like the guy who gave up on his life and sat around eating donuts and smoking weed all day.
Hmm.
That those two guys are gonna get a different kind of response from the world. And I think it's okay for a man to say, I want plan A. I don't want plan B.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying don't be ambitious. I think what's the interesting part about it, it's a conundrum. It's a paradox. It really is a paradox, because how to get first place is focusing on enjoying yourself in the moment. Believe it or not, that's the best way to get first place. That's the best way to win, is to really feel like, okay, I am locked in. Like when you're doing the work that you do and you're just locked in that moment, you're not even thinking about first place. You're thinking about doing the best job you can do. And so the first place just follows you everywhere you go. But the thing is that you can't just always be so fixated on the first place. You really need to be fixated on being the best person you can be, the best version, the best dancer in this moment. I'm going to enjoy yourself, because I think when you take when the enjoyment is zapped out of what you're doing, you're never going to win. And
Well,
even if you do win, it's not quite a win because you weren't enjoying yourself.
Well, I definitely agree with that. No,
Yeah.
but one thing I will say though, as I remember Rick Pitino, who was the legendary coach, basketball coach at University of Kentucky, who was winning championships left and right. He was talking about a player named Richie Farmer that came to his office, and Richie said, "I'm transferring. I'm leaving the school." And he said, "Why?" He said, "Well, because I'm just not having fun anymore." He
Yeah.
said, "Basketball was fun for me, and I'm just not having fun anymore. It's just too hard, too much." And what Rick said to him was, he said, "Do you really think that winning championships at a high level is always going to be fun?
Mm-hmm.
Practice ain't going to be fun." He said, "Losing weight when you've been allowed to just eat whatever you want, your whole life, that ain't going to be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Me pushing you and forcing you to be better than you were before, that ain't going to be fun." So I think that when we use that word fun, I think it's important to also calibrate to say that fun is the dessert that is earned after you eat the meal of discipline.
Mm-hmm.
Discipline ain't always fun.
It's not always fun, but you have to try to get like. So there are times where I had to write a paper and I was like, bothered, and I didn't want to write the paper. But the thing is that my mindset when I was writing that paper, it had an influence on, it was just like, I hate this class. You know what I mean? So if I hated the class, my whole disposition in that class changed. So I had to tell myself, okay, you know what is it that I'm trying to learn? What's the message that I'm trying to give out? Like, I have something that I need to say. It needs to be in written form. What's the message? And when I stopped thinking about the fact that that professor pissed me off, and I stopped thinking about, you know, I better get an A in this class. And I switched my mind to, I have got to put in the work so that I can get my message across. So I was thinking about, let me write the best paper. And so that's where the fun generated for me. Do you see what I mean? So it's different. It's different because if you're begrudgingly going along, you're not going to be a good basketball player or good anything.
Well, yeah,
So
I mean,
it's just
attitude is
almost like,
everything.
right.
Right,
So
right.
that's the type of thing
Yeah.
that I'm referring to.
Yeah, and I think
You know.
attitude. I mean, I think finding a way to enjoy what you're doing is definitely important. At the same time, I don't always enjoy every single thing I do to achieve the things I want to achieve. But I know that there is a sacrifice required before you can have the fun. Like last year, you and I, just we did fun stuff. We got a yacht for a week and went out into the ocean and did something, that that I wouldn't have been able to afford to do as a kid. But that was because of the discipline and sacrifice that was required to get into that position. So I think that it's important. I give my philosophy is like when it comes to kids, I think it's important to help them understand everything ain't gonna be fun. You're gonna have a
Mhm.
lot of days where you're not
Mhm.
really having fun that day.
Well, the whole purpose of getting away from performance-based anxiety is that, not anxiety, but performance-based self-esteem, is that you only feel good about yourself. Only feel good about yourself when you win. And I think that's the problem when you're tying your self-worth toward this outcome, or you're tying your self-worth to how you look,
Mm-hmm.
or tying your self-worth with who am I dating, or what am I doing, or I gotta make sure that I'm profile. So your self-worth is tied to these things outside of yourself. That's when you look at that person and you say, wow, this person is really miserable, because you're always going to win and you're always going to lose. Like,
Well,
it's
well,
just a
well, I
given,
do agree with that,
you
right? And
know.
I think that when you talk about self worth, I would say that there's two types of worth. There's the worth you see yourself having, and then there's the worth that the world sees with you, how people respond to you. And they, because how they respond to you determines whether or not you'll get the things that you would like to have. So, like, if I'm a guy who says my self worth is the same whether I am fat or skinny, I can gain 500 pounds and I'm still as as worthy as I am if I weigh 180. Sure, you are absolutely. Internally, God loves all his children and you're still a valuable soul. But if you go out into the world and you're like, hey, I still am the sexy man that I was at 180 pounds, and women are looking at you differently, like, no, you're not. you know, then or I'm still as worthy when I'm smoking crack as I was when I was healthy and taking care of myself. You are internally, sure. Again, God loves all the children, but the world does look at you differently. So I think that there is an incentive. I think that we have to be careful when we say, performance, or I don't think you're saying this, but I don't think we want to get to the point where we let somebody believe that how you perform means nothing in your outcomes. Like it just has nothing to do with the things that
Yeah.
matter for you. That's just not true.
Yeah, the thing, it
Doing
always,
your best makes a difference in this world.
yeah, it always feels good to win. I ain't gonna lie. Don't be ambitious. I'm not saying not to be ambitious. It always feels good to win. But the thing is that you can't ruin your entire day and ruminate and think about, oh my God, and just have like a horrible day because you don't. Because what's a giving? One thing that all of us have to know is that a given is that you will always lose and you will always win. And it
Hmm.
depends on, and that's why I love sports and I love competitions and stuff, because you really can see the measure of a person's self-worth based on what they do when they lose. Like Shakari Richardson, like
Ooh,
you can tell how she feels about herself based on how she behaves when she loses.
that's so
Like
true.
you really see the character of a person.
Oof,
You have to learn
Shakari.
how to lose well. And then for some people, I like people who say there's never a lose. There's a win and then there's a learn. Like those are my favorite people who say that, because you don't
Yeah.
even see a lose as a real lose, like I'm a loser. No, you just there's an opportunity for you to learn.
Now I do see that. So I would almost say that maybe while the act of winning or losing is not that important, it's certainly not as important as attitude, mindset, right? Like if there's such a thing as behaving like a winner, even if you lost,
That's right.
right? And I do it, that I agree with, and I
Yeah.
think that that's important. And I remember when I was in college and I wanted to make good grades. I really had that performance based esteem thing going on, which because I was known as the smart kid. I had the highest GPA of all the black students on the University of Kentucky campus,
Hmm.
and I remember saying there's too much pressure to feel like I have to make an A because there's too many variables I can't control. What I can
Yeah.
control is whether I do my best. So I started measuring, I would measure myself, not I would say self worth, but I would judge myself. Like, did you do your best?
Yeah.
If you did your best, then it's cool. If you
Yeah.
didn't, then we got a problem. And I think that's okay, right? And also I know that my parents raised me in an unconventional way, but I also had unconventional success because of that.
Hmm.
So as much as we know parenting isn't perfect and we all come up short, shoot, I thank them every chance I get. I'm like, thank you for making me different from all the
Well,
all the people out here that I see that feel like they can't do nothing without a white man's permission, or they feel like the struggle is overwhelming and all that. I've never felt that way. My father
mm,
said, if you want to succeed, you go out there and you get it. Period. I'll let
okay.
you get the last word before we roll out to because it's breakfast time.
Is it breakfast time? My
Yes.
stomach is growling.
Yes.
Yeah. So I want to go back to this situation. So I think secrets in general are awful in relationships. And the fact that she felt the need to keep a secret from her husband, it would be the topic of my therapy session with them. If they were in my office, I would try to get to what is it about the secrecy part that really motivated you to want to do this, to want to have it, because it doesn't seem like this husband would have an issue with her having a separate checking account or a separate account. Like, what is it about the secrecy that it just has to be something that you want to keep from your husband? And how do you expect, are these the expectations of the relationship, to have secrets and not be able to share with each other? So I would definitely have a conversation about that. What would you
Mm.
say for this?
Yeah, I think she's wrong. If she's got a secret bank account and isn't telling her husband about it, that's not cool. That's not how marriage works. I think that maybe a conversation about a separate bank account
Yeah.
is okay. I think that's what you and I kind of agreed on: his, hers, and ours. And we have our joints, we have our individual stuff going on, and I think that works. But there's no one size fits all approach. But in general, if you are hiding money from your spouse, and you think you can get away with it, just know that they will find that money, and you don't want to go hiding money
The
when
truth, yeah.
you know
The
this.
truth always comes out.
Yeah, it
It
does.
always.
It does. So, and I also think that that communication piece you talked about sort of communicating these things before you get married, that's huge. And a lot of
Mhm.
people don't know that. Like they'll talk all day about what sex position do you like, but they won't talk about, financial things, financial history, and financial compatibility
Well,
and all
all of
that.
that is important.
All
You
those
got to
things
talk
are
about all of
those
that.
those things are important, but I mean, come on now, like the way somebody looks, that isn't going to necessarily make them a good
Uh-huh.
partner for life, a good business partner for life. And so, by the way, everybody, you're listening to Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. Alicia's website, she sees clients all the time, and she's a licensed therapist. She's been doing it for a long time. And so, if you'd like to learn more about what she does, she has classes and groups and sessions, consultations, everything else. So, feel free to go to coachingwithdralicia.com, or you can look her up on Instagram at Coaching with Dr. Alicia. And also, my website is boycewatkins.com. So if you'd like to join my Black Wealth Bootcamp, which starts tomorrow, and we're going to focus on stock options. So if you'd like to learn how to sell stock options to generate income, then we get started tomorrow night, Thursday night at 8 p.m. We're going to meet 4 weeks, and it's really, really valuable stuff to understand. A lot of people don't know how to do this well. I do. That's what my PhD's in. So I'd love to teach you. So feel free to go to boycewatkins.com.
Yeah,
All right,
and when you
everybody.
wait, and when
Go
you
ahead.
make money with stock options, don't hide it from your spouse.
Yeah, yeah, right, right. When you make the stock option money, don't hide it from your spouse.
how
And
we how we spending this money?
yeah, and also send me a note to let me know how well you're doing financially. Because I know some of you all are making more money because you started investing, and I love hearing your stories. And feel free to leave suggested topics in the comments. We're always open. And thank you to Antoinette for suggesting this topic. And this got us back on our pillow talk game. So
I know. I'm
yeah.
awake now and I'm hungry.
Yeah,
So
let's go eat breakfast. All right, everybody, hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe, everything else on your way out the door. Love you, and we will see you all soon. Take care.
bye, everyone.